Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Scareticulous. Today we have a mega update for you for Scream 7. Lots of stuff to discuss here today, so if you're just joining us, if you're just coming to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up, and also that notification bell to make sure you get all notifications on this channel in the future. So let's start with the biggest news today, and that is this new Scream 7 trailer that apparently opened in front of Wuthering Heights. I'm not really sure what the deal with that is, why they thought that was the best audience to put this trailer in front of, but that's apparently what's going on here. And we have a few new segments here in this trailer. There's a lot of stuff we've already seen before. We've seen the mental institution, we've seen Sidney, we've seen the Ghostface in the hallway, we've seen a lot of this stuff before, but there's a few key scenes here that are brand new. Chief among them is Stu Macher himself. Yes, spoiler alert, everyone. Stu Macher himself is in this trailer. He says, "Surprise, Cindy," is actually what he says.
Surprise, Sidney.
And that's very important to note because I feel like this is actually the dead giveaway that this iteration of Stu in this movie is in fact AI. Because as we all know, AI can make mistakes. Now, I feel like people get a little bit confused when talking about the subject of Stu being AI in this movie because they assume people are saying that, oh, Matthew Lillard's not really in this. He's not really coming back. No, Matthew Lillard is in fact in this movie. We already know that. He is reprising his role as Stu. However, the depictions of him in the movie, the question is that really him? Or is that supposed to be AI? Is that someone replicating his persona to terrorize Sidney, right? That's the question we have to ask here. And I feel like, obviously, this is Matthew Lillard saying, "Surprise, Cindy." This is a new voice sample. This has never been done before. It wasn't taken from the first movie.
I always had a thing for you, Sid.
Surprise, Sidney.
We have those lines that are classic from the first movie. We do have Roger L. Jackson back, obviously, to reprise the voice of Ghostface. And in the trailer and in some other pieces of media, he is saying, like, "I've always had a thing for you, Sid."
Did you miss me? I've always had a thing for you, Sid.
Right? Mimicking his classic line from the first movie where he says that right before he gets a Zenith TV dropped on his face. So getting back to the whole Cindy thing, right? Now, I believe that they're going to point this out in the movie that, you know, the voice of Stu says Cindy, and that's going to give her pause. First, she's going to be like terrified, like, what? Oh my God, Stu Macher's back. What the hell? This is, you know, horrible, right? But then she's going to think back like, wait a minute, it called me Cindy. Why did it do that? Could it be because this is AI and AI messes up? AI doesn't always get things right. And maybe they're messing with a very poor, you know, AI program to make this facsimile of Stu in the movie, right? We get a very pixelated, kind of garbled look at Stu, and it appears that he does have scars on his face that kind of show the damage that he suffered from that TV in the first movie. You know, we're probably going to get a much clearer image of this in the movie itself, but they're just teasing right now. They're just kind of teasing us. And what I'm guessing they're going to do is he's going to have the scars. They're going to make it really believable. They're going to make you really believe this is Stu with these scars, right? And then it's like not really, it's not AI. There's nothing fake about it. But then obviously at the end, it's going to be revealed it was AI the whole time. We're going to have the real killers come out and kind of unmask themselves. If you want to know more about that, check the leaks videos that I've done on this, where I went in depth about who the killers were. Back then I did get some of the actors wrong. We didn't know a lot of the names of the people in the movie itself. So while the cast members that I showed in the video were a little bit off, the idea is still the same, right? You still have like the killers being who they are. And it's in fact not actually Stu Macher coming back to life. So we have that in the trailer. We also have a glimpse of Tatum where she's being, strapped to the chair, similar to how Stephen Orth was strapped to the chair in Scream 1. Basically, this Ghostface is bringing Sidney back to the first movie. We're seeing how like they're trying to mimic deaths from the first movie. Like clearly this Ghostface kidnaps Tatum to make some kind of point to Sidney. That basically what I've said before is that they're going to make Sidney the new Maureen Prescott, right? They're going to Maureen her and basically make Tatum the new final girl because that, I've seen seems to be how this is going to work. And it seems to be like this movie is focused, the theme is focused on trauma, right? And how trauma is handed down from generation to generation. And because I think we're going to get a lot of that revealed in the killer identities themselves and like their motives, it's going to be a lot of that trauma of how we kind of hand that down to people down the line, right? And so that's going to be the theme of the movie. We also have a shot of Robbie Rivers in this trailer. Not really much to say other than it seems like he's in the same studio as Gail and Sidney when they're doing the interview, because you see lots of like monitors and stuff kind of showing them all over there. So they must be in the same studio. I don't know if they like worked out some kind of deal or they're working together on this. Who the hell knows? I just thought it was interesting to kind of note that. You see that same scene of Acid German getting killed. You know, he's kind of crawling around. You see Tatum running through the streets. So yeah. And then there's this other part in the trailer that says, you know, prepare for one last Scream. And it seems like people are taking that to mean like this is the end of Scream. Like this is it. Like this is the last movie. No, I don't think that's what they're trying to say with that. I think it's basically trying to give a finality to this saga of Sidney Prescott, right? It's more like it echoes what Sidney said in one of these trailers where she said like, you know,
isn't gonna stop unless I stop it.
I have to end this once and for all, right? It's like it's concluding her chapter essentially. Whatever Scream 8 is gonna be, this is essentially the end of the era of Sidney Prescott, right? That's what I think that this is kind of all saying, because no matter what happens in Scream 8, this I feel like is kind of the end of an era that they're trying to conclude here. A 30-year perfect track record. I think that's why they're bringing it full circle. And there's only so many times you can kind of really crack that out of the bag. You know, you have to kind of move on at a certain point. And I feel like after this is when they're going to start to move on from that. As for this next piece of news here, there was an interview that Neve Campbell did with, was it TFI Info? I don't know who this is, but some interview where she's, you know, they're asking her like, hey, what can we expect from Scream 8?
What about Scream 8? Well, I can't say anything about Scream 8 because then I'd be telling you what happens in Scream 7.
So what this tells us is clearly there's, you know, a big impact from Scream 7 that leads into Scream 8, right? Whatever happens in Scream 7 is going to lead into Scream 8. It's not going to be like very sectioned off where, you know, one movie happens and then another sequel has nothing to do with the past one. This clearly, there's a continuing story that kind of leaves off from the end of this movie. There's going to be consequences. There's going to be things that happen that are going to inform things that happen in the next movie. So there's a little bit of tidbit for Scream 8. Moving on, we have this little ad or whatever for this Valentine's Day thing that Scream is doing. Apparently you can like kind of make a little Valentine's Day card, and you know, you have the Roger L. Jackson voice where he's like, you know, I've always had a thing for you, Sid. And it's kind of like this little heart thing that appears and it says like, he'll make you scream. And it's just like this funny little, you know, video I guess you can kind of make and send to people. I think it's on Instagram. But the thing that was notable about this is, you know, that Stu Macher line. Clearly they're really pushing the Stu angle. Now, for you Stu fans out there who don't want this to be AI and you think this is that's gonna be a disappointing thing for you leading into this movie, if you, by the end of the movie you find out Stu's not actually alive, you know, you might see all this marketing using Stu kind of shamelessly to be kind of cheap, right? Or to kind of like be like a bait and switch, right? Because I mean, for y'all who don't know about the leaks, for y'all who don't know any better and you're really like huge Stu fans and you really think that he's coming back for this, I mean, why wouldn't you expect that at this point? If he isn't alive in the movie, I could see lots of you getting really disappointed with that. Me, myself, I think, you know, if it's handled right, I don't mind the AI stuff, you know, especially if they don't use it as just like a gimmick, if there's some purpose to it, you know, if there's some kind of messaging in there about, you know, him being AI and, you know, the other people that come back as AI as well. It's not just Stu. I feel like the whole concept of AI in a horror movie is an interesting concept that's yet to be fully explored, you know, because it's essentially like you're a ghost coming back to life, right? We've had all these people die in the franchise and now they're being resurrected for Scream 7 as basically digital ghosts, right? And what better movie to do that than in Scream, where the literal villain takes on the appearance of a ghost. So I think it's an interesting concept. I don't have a problem with it personally, but I could see how some of y'all who are really invested in the Stu stuff might have an issue with it. So next up, we have apparently this music track coming out called Rearranging Scars. I guess it was made specifically for Scream 7 by some musical group. I'm not really here to talk about the music itself. I'm here to talk about like the title of the track called Rearranging Scars. To me, that seems to be a direct reference to Stu Macher having those scars, right? And what it seems to be about, like, is he trying to remove his own scars? Is he trying to take his scars off of him and put him onto Sidney? Like, what exactly is that going to say in the narrative of Scream 7, you know? Or, again, this could be like a whole trauma aspect where, you know, if someone is using Stu Macher to attack Sidney, they're essentially using the scars, the trauma, quote unquote, you know, from Sidney's past to torment her, and in order to take the scars off themselves, right? Let's say this person, whoever it is, they're really hurt, and you know, this is how they're lashing out and taking out their trauma onto someone else, using their trauma against them, right? You might find that this is actually very accurate to the ending of the movie. Based on what I've heard about the leaks, this seems to be like what this is all hinting at, so I'd really pay attention to that little detail. Moving on, we also have another detail that you know, some people brought up, that there was this little clip that was released during the Bad Bunny halftime show. I was a little late on talking about this, but basically it's revealed that, you know, there's two Ghostfaces that Tatum comes up against. One that she, you know, I guess throws through that storefront window, and then there's another Ghostface behind her. I mean, I didn't really feel the need to really talk about this because from my vantage point in talking about this movie, I've already had it instilled in me at this point that there is in fact 3 Ghostfaces similar to Scream 6, just done in a very different way. So the fact that there's 2 in this, it's like, that's not really much of a surprise for me personally, but I could see how some of y'all who maybe don't look into the leaks, you don't really investigate too much into this stuff, maybe it's like, oh my god, there's 2. Yes, there's 2. There's in fact 3 in this movie. And if there isn't, I'll eat my hat, but it seems like all the leaks that I've heard have come to fruition at this point. So that's just something like, yes, there's 2, obviously they're working together. I don't know what to say. Yeah, there's usually 2 Ghostfaces. There was only one instance where there was 1 Ghostface, and that was Scream 3. And even with that movie, people say he had a secret accomplice who was Stu Macher, right? So whatever the case may be, is it that shocking if there's 2 Ghostfaces? Is it really? Like, we've had at least 2 Ghostfaces this whole time practically, but people are like, oh my god, there's another. And yeah, and water is wet. Like, what do you want me to say? But yeah, that's pretty much the updates for today on, you know, for Scream 7. Lots of stuff kind of rolling out very quickly. I'm trying to keep up with it, trying to like post stuff, post shorts about it, trying to keep you guys as updated as possible, but I am not really a news guy. I'm not that guy. I kind of like to talk about stuff that I think is hard-hitting, is interesting about these things coming out. So I'll give you my perspective. That's the only thing I can really do. So if you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see y'all next time on Scareticulous. Until then, stay scared.